This is Mirror Business FM. It's the morning drive with me, Tim Elliott. Good morning to you. So, food, glorious food. Now, the global food economy is advancing towards a projected value of $11.37 trillion by 2030. 4 years away, and we're seeing startups increasingly driving breakthroughs in alternative proteins, in artificial intelligence, in automation, in sustainable production, and of course, much, much more. Now, here in the UAE, a team at a UAE-based startup in collaboration with the National Research Council in Canada has revived an idea discarded by NASA and is using something known as Fogponics technology as an indoor planting system. And it uses 98% less water than traditional farming. It's clear that here in the UAE, that would seem to be a pretty smart, not to mention useful and perhaps even life-changing idea. Alberto Aguilar is the co-founder and the CEO of Plantaform. Joins me now. Alberto, it's good to be speaking with you.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Good to have you on. I'm so interested in this. So let's start at the beginning. I want to get through to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly with you, Alberto. So NASA moved away from Fogponics because of technical hurdles. I think there was salt buildup, there was clogging, other things. How did you and your team manage to solve these tech glitches that NASA couldn't?
I think it was a bit of an obsession. When COVID-19 hit in 2020, it kind of gave us a lot of free time to figure things out. So we kind of went into rabbit holes, found these articles from NASA talking about Fogponics and understood the challenges. And we kind of puzzled together the little pieces around the world from different scientists, researchers, DIYers, to figure out a solution. Someone's problem was someone's solution, someone's challenge, vice versa. So we spent around 2 years of researching to figure out what would essentially work to make this technology work here on Earth.
So you decided, I'm going after this. I'm reading that you, Alberto, you grew up in Dubai, but you missed the taste of Spanish produce. Was there a specific meal or maybe a moment that made you, so dogged in your approach? I have to do this?
Everything. I grew up in Barcelona, Spain, so everything from tomatoes to like berries, leafy greens, they had real flavor. Sadly, that's very rare to find here in the GCC. So when I moved to Canada 11 years ago, we had the same challenge over there where we imported over 90% of our food from the US and Mexico. So it's something that's always ticked and just had that ick to figure out how to solve. So 2020 was the perfect solution. It's when the world supply chains were disrupted. And when there was a time and place to start this, it was then.
I thought you grew up here. What's your connection to the UAE?
Was born and raised in Barcelona, moved to the UAE for 3 years, which was to complete high school, and then went to Canada for university and stayed there afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay, and now you're back here in the UAE now. So before we get into the details of how Fogponics works and all the ins and outs, what kinds of plants are we talking about here that this is particularly good to grow?
Most of the common crops you can find at the supermarket. Leafy greens such as lettuces, bok choy, spinach, a wide variety of herbs from cilantro to basil, cherry tomatoes as well. We're launching tea right now as well. So it's a very cool one where people can grow their own tea at home. Edible flowers, we're testing with strawberries. So quite a significant amount of varieties, actually.
All right, so this is a method of farming that uses, and I've said this, mentioned this a couple of times, 98% less water than traditional methods. Imagine I'm a complete idiot that doesn't understand anything. It's not much of a stretch. Can you walk me through the fog generator? How does it differ from standard hydroponics in terms of plant absorption, for example?
So in a hydroponic system, you pretty much have roots immersed inside of the water, which is filled with nutrients, right?
Right.
That alone already uses 90% less water than traditional farming, yet it has existed for hundreds of years, but people think it's a quite noble innovation. Fogponics, what we do is we actually vaporize this water with ultrasonic vibrations under the water. So we kind of like mist it, similar to how a humidifier would work, actually. And we break it down into the ideal micron-sized droplets, which deliver water, nutrients, and oxygen to the roots. So to put it into a visual perspective, in the Amazon, plants can grow on rocks. And that's because the humidity around the environment allows them to thrive and absorb the nutrients and water from just the humidity. So we isolate that humidity directly to the roots. They absorb all the water, all the nutrients, nothing is wasted. So every plant drop actually goes into the plant and the plant can focus on photosynthesizing and growing. And that's how we actually end up using 98% less water than traditional farming and 50% less water than hydroponics, while also growing up to 30% faster.
So this really allows plants to get on with the business of being a plant much more effectively than almost any other method I can think of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, picture you go to the gym every single day and you got someone feeding you the right amount of protein, nutrients, and everything your body necessarily it needs to be able to become, essentially perfectly fit. Well, we take care of the feeding part so the plant can focus on the working out side.
Alberto, it's a pod-based system, and of course, immediately I think Nespresso. I wonder why was it important to make this a plug-and-play appliance rather than, like a professional greenhouse tool?
Well, it's an innovation, right? So with everything that's innovative, you got to teach the public how to use it. We did not want to become an extra tool. There's hydroponic systems out there that let you grow food at home, but they're just tools in your home. So we wanted to create something that would be part of your lifestyle and essentially bring the awareness and the connection that you already know how to use it, just like you know how to brew a cup of coffee with your espresso machine. So simplicity is key. If we want every household or majority of households in the UAE start growing their own food at home to be part of the solution to food security, well, this has to be a very simple solution. And plug and play is as simple as it can get.
So you miss the flavor of greens that you grew up with in Barcelona. You miss that taste. One of the things with this system is, you've got a 3-week to harvesting cycle versus, a standard cycle of several months. That's a huge jump. Does that speed affect the nutritional density? Does it affect the flavor profile in any way?
Absolutely. And it depends on the crop. I mean, some crops, the average crop takes around 4 weeks to be able to harvest. Tomatoes take around a month and a half to 2 months. But quite frankly, like Fogponics, based on the research that we've done with the Canadian National Research Council, it has a higher nutrient uptake, which can be up to 35%. And that's because the more precise nutrient delivery and the oxygenation, which we often overlook at it when we do control environment agriculture. So because of that, the plant becomes a lot more nutritious, which just translates to a much juicier tomato per se, or a more healthier spinach with higher iron content in it. So that's actually what some of the very best benefits of Fogponics itself.
And I guess there's no need for any kind of fertilization technique here. You've got everything you need in that you have kind of a diffused, temperate, humid environment. Am I right?
The nutrients actually go in the water. So it's just like in hydroponics, but we don't end up wasting most of that water. We precisely fog it, in this case, so the nutrients go inside of the fog itself.
Okay, so no need for any fertilization or anything like that, or any added, I don't know.
You do. You put it into the water. It's pretty much a scoop of nutrients. So usually in hydroponics, you got multiple kind of liquid nutrients, pH balancers, complicated stuff you got to put together. We did our own nutrient mix in Canada where we dehydrated the nutrients into a powder. So you just have to put the minerals into the water and it'll just dilute into the water and now deliver the nutrients directly to the roots.
Okay, so I'm with you. Let's move on to a critical topic, one which governments across the globe are discussing right now at this moment, food independency. You mentioned wanting to make people part of the solution. Do you see this as a kitchen luxury for people, or is this a legitimate tool for national food security?
Well, to be honest, the way we created these products to become an essential appliance in everyone's homes, right? Just like the microwave became very popular back in the day, then the dishwasher, we truly see this as an essential appliance as a part of everyone's home in the Middle East. We here in Canada, we've worked with many developers to have these in part of developments already. In the UAE right now, we're working with developers as well to have this inside of brand new villas. So we are really trying to fast forward that future where the GCC can become food independent and everyone just contributes. I mean, if everyone had to grow their own food at home, no, I wouldn't say they'd be fully self-sustainable, but can you imagine the massive footprint if millions and millions of people would grow their own tomatoes at home, their own lettuces at home, their own basil, just the amount of the reduction of dependency on going to the supermarket. But the cool thing is in Saudi Arabia, which is where I'm at right now at this current moment as we're calling, we're scaling this technology to build greenhouses in the desert. So we're also tapping the commercial scale market to be able to feed directly the population in large amounts.
I guess there's also the side that if you are able to grow your own food, look, I get thrilled if I'm able to grow basil and throw it in a pasta dish that I'm putting together. So there's also that side of it as well, the achievement side for people.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole point is to be a commodity, right? I think even in the farming side of things, the challenge would be how do you reduce the food waste that goes entire the supply chain? Like from the moment that you harvest from a farm to the moment that it goes to your pasta, you've actually traveled over 2,400 kilometers, and more than 50% of that food has been wasted within the process. Plus, if you only knew the amount of hands that went into touching your produce from farm to table, it kind of gets gross. So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you just said right now. The convenience should be I'm going to my living room, I'm going to harvest some basil and some tomatoes, and I'm going to make my pasta in a couple of minutes right after that, where the fruits of the tomatoes and the freshness of the leafy greens, it's right there. It's fresh. It tastes amazing. The flavor retains. It doesn't get lost within transportation or days of harvesting.
Let me ask you a little bit more about the pods. You replace them, what is it, every 4 months, I'm reading. So are these biodegradable? Are they recyclable? How are you ensuring that the hardware is kind of as green as the plants, if you like?
It's fully biodegradable. The pots are actually made of bamboo. So the objective is if we're going to be able to reduce also the amount of plastic and waste that goes within the process, well, this has to be a full circular economy. So you just grab the pot after 4 months, you throw it into your compost, and it'll compost by itself because once again, it's made of bamboo.
So you're in Saudi Arabia at the moment, and you're looking at commercial applications. You've showcased this system earlier this year, last month I think at Gulf Food. Is the goal a mix of the home kitchen, if you like? Have you got plans for industrial Fogponics here in the UAE commercially?
Absolutely. We're talking to farmers right now in Elaine. We were just at Web Summit in Qatar where we won the pitch competition and got very close to a lot of ministers in the country. We're trying to make this a solution in every part of the GCC. In the UAE especially, I mean, the objective, if you could visualize this, is if every home can grow their own food, but at the same time, whatever you need to buy in the supermarket, you can also know that it was grown a few kilometers away. It's fresh, it's nutritious, it doesn't get packed with pesticides. And we're actually focusing on berries in a large scale. So imagine saying that you're buying blueberries and strawberries grown in the UAE or grown in Saudi Arabia. That's what we're trying to focus on as well. Things that we have to bring all the way from the United States or Peru, you can now grow it just a few kilometers away, perhaps even in a lane.
It's not difficult to see the upside, is it? So just talk me through the kind of the back office, the back system. This runs with an app, I imagine. Just talk me through that briefly, Alberto.
Yeah, I mean, the way the device works is very simple. You choose your capsules, let's say. So instead of your morning latte, you'll choose your tomatoes or basil. You put them into the device. You can grow up to 15 different plants. You take the app, you scan it, and just like that, the device will recognize all the different plants that you're growing, will set up the right environment for you, and that's it. You add some water and you forget about it. Every 3 weeks, you'll get a notification to add some more water and nutrients. But besides that, it'll tell you when to harvest. It'll tell you when to prune the plants, what to do with them. It suggests recipes. So it's a very interactive app that at the same time is not really on your face. It's just there to be your companion app throughout the journey.
Okay, and you could just appreciate the growth in your kitchen or wherever you've got your contraption.
Yeah, it'll monitor everything for you.
Right, as an entrepreneur, and I can kind of feel the passion for this and the enthusiasm that you have. What's the UAE ecosystem provided for you guys at Plantaform that maybe you wouldn't be able to find in Canada or Spain? What's been the advantage of being in this region?
Well, you know what? The UAE has always had a very sweet spot in my heart, just because obviously growing up there, even if it was just a couple of years. When I wanted to come back, I actually did a couple of trips just to be able to understand the ecosystem again, get to know the new people that came by. And I applied for the Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Fund Accelerator, which I applied, had multiple interviews, and once we got accepted, it was essentially the perk soft landing pad to enter the UAE. But not just that, it's truly is the ecosystem, is the environment, is the founders in the UAE. There's this just drive to be able to contribute and collaborate and open up doors for everyone, which, in places like Spain, where things are a little bit more conservative or competitive, it becomes a very resourceful ecosystem to thrive in. So, going from Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Fund to the introductions that came from there and the openness to early adoption and new technologies is essentially where you want to be at when you get a startup, when you're presenting something new to the world, because people are willing to test it, people are willing to try new things. So because UAE is such a fast forward thinking country that it wants to keep leading in innovation and wants to keep being the future of the world. So that's why I'm saying that it's incredible. There's not a single country or region in the world like the GCC to start a startup or to thrive in a startup.
Food security is very much on the agenda. We live in a harsh environment. It's something that government are focused on, and there's so much effort being put into food security, looking to the future. It's interesting that you say how open the region is. I just wonder how has the reception been for you? How is the interest level at the moment?
I mean, we brought a container just to test the market on late December. By the first month of January, by the end of January, we fully sold it out with zero marketing, just solely from trade shows, which was the World Future Energy Summit in Abu Dhabi, then Gulf Food. We partner up with over 80 plus schools across the GCC. There hasn't been any friction. People want the solutions. You said like it's a no-brainer. We live in a country that has everything. You got innovation, you got infrastructure, you got education, you got healthcare. Yet the only thing that lacks is food. Hence why it's in the top of the national agenda. So in terms of that, I mean, people understand that that's a priority, and especially for everyone who values having a garden in your backyard and fresh organic food. Well, now people can actually start growing it from their home, and it's a feeling. It's a feeling that I think a lot of people miss when they left their home to call the UAE their new home. And so that's what's been so exciting about the adoption in the market and how people are so aligned that food security is the number one thing that we need to tackle.
What about in terms of cost, Alberto? I mean, if I go to the supermarket and I buy my box of vine-ripened tomatoes, I buy my little pot of basil, whatever herbs I'm using. How do you envisage or envision costs going forward?
You actually end up breaking even within a year. And after that, you actually have some cost savings with it. The most important part of it is essentially, well, first of all, the freshness. When you go buy something organic or something truly bought local, price goes up significantly. So it's way cheaper for you to grow at home. From the same pod, when it keeps growing, you keep cutting the plant and it just keep regrowing back for up to 4 months. So it's kind of having this like, short-term infinite loop of greens growing in your living room. And then, the cost of the machine itself is 2,500 dirham. That was during our sale price, is up to 2,800 dirham, usually MSRP. And the pots for 15 of them is 110. So it's quite cheap when you think that, for 110 dirhams, you can grow 15 different plants that keep regrowing over and over again, where it's fresh, it's nutritious, has no pesticides, no chemicals, in a world where everyone wants fresh, pesticide-free produce.
Let's just recap briefly. So, water savings, 98% less than traditional farming. Maintenance, you refill water every 3 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You change the pods every 4 months. Okay. Capacity, 15 plants at a time. And speed, 3-week harvest cycle. So I sat last night thinking that's where we are. Is that all correct?
Yes, I would say more of 4 weeks, just because there's also germination periods. I think 4 weeks
Okay.
is a safe period to say, but still one of the fastest ways of growing in the world right now, in the world of agriculture.
Well, it certainly is that, and so I'm getting that straight in my head, understanding how Fogponics works. I'm impressed that you've managed to solve a problem that NASA wasn't able to solve. My natural next question, and I don't mean this to be harsh, I'm thinking, where's the catch in this? I can't find one.
You know what? I've done startups for over a decade, and Plantaform has a very special sentiment to me because, again, I grew up in a homestead in Spain. So it truly was about obsession.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say I'm the smartest guy in agriculture. I came from a business background, but I definitely got the smartest people I could find in the world of agriculture to come and help me out with this as co-founders. So truly, what the catch to it is, like, you got to make the investment. You got to make the investment to get the machine to start growing your own food, to be part of the solution. I mean, it's step one to have this at home, to start growing your own food, and then the commitment to start growing throughout the year. Not only will you reduce the food dependency of the supermarkets, but at the same time, you'll provide something healthy for your families. You're not going to buy stuff that you don't know where the provenance is from. You're not going to be able to worry about the food waste that comes with that, that you have to throw away the food that rottens in your fridge at the end of the week. So truly, the catch is, there needs to be a commitment from the world to be able to contribute to this. That doesn't have to be fully with our system. It can be with any hydroponic system or just starting a garden. But that's the catch. The catch is that if we want to make a world movement, we got to make the world move with it behind us.
If every household in Dubai had one of these units, 2,800 dirhams, how would the city's carbon footprint change, say 5 years' time, just under 5 years' time, 2030?
If every home was to grow their own food at home, considering that 90% of the food is being imported, we would probably significantly reduce that by an additional 20 to 30% when you think about it. You're growing food every single couple of other days, so every day you could harvest a head of lettuce. That alone reduces 1 or 2 trips to the supermarket per the month, right? At the same time, you're not importing so much food that, as I said, half of it ends up wasted, which means you got containers and GHG emissions from the transportation being useless at that point. So quite frankly, it would solve a massive, tremendous amount of carbon footprint for the whole UAE and for the whole world, because something that you're importing from Peru wouldn't have to come as often anymore.
Final question for you. This is one of the things you're doing. You are, I guess, by definition, if you're an entrepreneur for 10 years, you're kind of a serial entrepreneur. What's next? What's the next step for you, Alberto?
Well, right now is the commercial scale systems with Fogponics, which is why I'm here in Riyadh. We're trying to help the entire GCC become more self-sustaining with this Fogponics technology. Water scarcity is a very big challenge in the region as well, considering that 87% of the fresh water is desalinated. So we're in a mission right now to expand Plantaform into our new venture, Plantafarm, which is to build this commercial A-frame greenhouses across all GCC to focus on berry farming, from strawberries to blackberries to blueberries, and support that market niche in the whole region, right? Berries is one of the best superfoods in the world with antioxidants. One of the most expensive items on the shelf with the shortest lifespan. So we're trying to create, national blueberries made in UAE, blueberries made in Qatar, blueberries made in Saudi Arabia, and be able to empower farmers not only to grow that, but to also be more profitable, because with higher ticket items, means that the farmer can actually eat more from it, and by eat I mean more profits, and encourage more farmers to grow in this profession. Everyone's going towards tech, consulting, engineering. You don't hear that many people going into farming. But if farming becomes more lucrative, our job is to be able to become enablers and help more farmers become more profitable and grow their footprint, so we can have more of them around it, because at the end of the day, we live because of farmers.
I love the idea of national blueberries. I genuinely do. Co-founder or founder of Plantaform, CEO. The hat's telling me founder, Alberto Aguilar. It's been great to talk to you. Appreciate you coming on and joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me on the show, Tim. It was a pleasure.
Good to have you with us. This is Mirror Business FM. It's the Morning Drive. Get in touch. Tell us what you think on social media. We always appreciate a like and or a subscribe. And don't forget, you can watch everything we do or listen to everything we do again on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Just look for Mirror Business FM. And a quick reminder that we have a new podcast out called Luxury Breaks. It's time to shift gears. It's an automotive podcast for the high-octane world. Myself and ex-Motors Jacek Ziemek, a candid, on occasion, expert look into the luxury vehicle market, hypercars, supercars, and more. Every Friday, it's on YouTube, and it's on your favorite podcast platforms.